Hello, welcome back to The Reading Mama. Today I thought I would share a real quick video of some of our family favorite audiobooks. And I do not know the names of all of our favorite narrators, but I will pop a picture up here of the version that we have liked. And I polled my kids, asked them what some of their favorites were, but there's one that is hands down, highly recommend, favorite across the board. And if you've been here a while, you know what I'm going to say, but I'm going to save it for the end because that's what we do here on YouTube, right? Build the suspense. So one that my kids have all liked and said that they liked, and we've listened to it so many times. Kids have read it multiple times. We've watched the movie. We just love it. And that is The Railway Children. The Railway Children tells the story of three kids. We have some unique names. All the girls, their nicknames are boy names, which my family of girls, of course, is like, what? And in this story, you have these kids and they start out in London with their family and their father gets arrested. They don't know why. They don't know what's going on and they're not sure exactly what's happening, but they end up having to move to the countryside. And their mother is dealing with all of that, and she does it with such spark. As a mother listening to this story, it is so encouraging. I want to be like their mother because she is just a delight, even in the trials and struggles. But I digress. The story follows the three children and their move out there, the way that they're dealing with the stress of their father missing, the way they're dealing with a different kind of life where they were more wealthy and had servants, and now they're doing a lot of the things on their own. They're living from city to country life, family issues, and just different happenstances along the way. And they get into some trials and struggles, get caught stealing the coal from the train station and different things like that. And it's called The Railway Children because one of the things they do is they watch the train that goes by. One of the kids keeps a timetable and writes it all down, which train came at what time and all these different things. And it just has such a beautiful story. There are so many big arching things that me as an adult that I love. I love, like I said, the mother's arc, but then there's also a Russian refugee in the story that I think has just a powerful story, and then the story of the father as well coming in with that. But then there's the children who make really sweet friendships among each other, but then also with others, the way that they help another young man along the way, how they interact with the different people in their community. It is just a beautiful story. I absolutely love Railway Children and highly recommend it. Another one that all my kids loved, and I don't think we own the book, but we should because we listened to the audiobook a couple times now. We absolutely love it, and that is Sweet Home Alaska. Sweet Home Alaska is a historical fiction middle grade novel, and it is so beautifully written. And the way you want to think about it is like Little House on the Prairie, but make it Depression era. So during the Depression era, they had all those alphabet groups being made, and one of them was a group that sent people who were struggling to get a job, make ends meet, to Alaska to basically populate and turn it into land that they can use in towns. And you follow this young girl and her family as they move to Alaska, and they're roughing it and they're learning all these things that are very hard from growing up in the suburbs. It's a big difference, but it's still in the 30s, so you still have that historical aspect, which looking back now is like 100 years ago. Oh my goodness, that's crazy. The Depression was like 100 years ago. Anyways, I digress again. But it is such a sweet, sweet story. You learn a lot, like you do through the Little House on the Prairie books, about life of roughing it, cooking, hunting, dealing with different aspects that are unique to Alaska, being separated from people, the weather, the light and everything. It is just such a sweet, sweet story. Absolutely love it. Highly recommend it. And again, there is a mother who is struggling with the move, and it comes full circle, and it's just a beautiful story. Another kid, when I asked my kids, what is a audiobook that you loved? And they said Mr. Limoncello's Library. And again, we own this book. My kids read it on their own, even after they listen to the audiobook, but because the book itself is phenomenal, but the audiobook is so well done. And if you don't know, Mr. Limoncello's Library is like Willy Wonka with books, okay? So you have this guy who's known for making games, and he sells them, and he's the Willy Wonka of board games. But he buys a library and turns it into the chocolate factory, but with books. And they're playing like this game to figure out, they're the first ones to go in the library, and they have to solve the clues to win the prize. And it is so good. The main character, the young man in it, is flawed, but he is so sweet. His character is so strong and beautiful. It is the one I want my kids to emulate. You know, he puts family first and friends, and when he fails, he admits it, and he builds others up to bring them along with him. And it is a sweet, sweet story. And I haven't read the rest of the series, my kids have, but the audiobook for book 1 was just phenomenal. I listened to it by myself first, and I was like, I've got to get this for the kids. It's so good. And so I have that up here. Highly, highly recommend Mr. Limoncello's library. And then one that we've also got several times, and this may be popular just because we have a family of girls, and then we had a boy, which is what happens in book 1. It's called All of a Kind Family because it's all of one kind. They're all girls when the story starts out, and this is taking place in New York in the early 1900s, and you follow a Jewish family there, and you deal with through the eyes of the children, you see a story of what they're dealing with culturally and also societally, like economic wise, because they're not super wealthy. They're not getting the best things, and they have hardships, and they go through things, and it is very just sweet sibling bonds and hijinks and activities and things like that. And then the mother in the story is also one that you want to emulate as a mama, and she does such wonderful things to raise her kids and help them learn what is important. And in the process, big spoiler, she's pregnant and she has a boy. And we have 6 daughters and then had a boy and then another daughter. But my kids were like, they loved it because the first time we read it, I believe I was pregnant because there's 4 girls and I was pregnant with number 5 and we didn't find out what we were having. And so they were like, yeah. And then it was another girl and they were like, eh. But anyways, they still love it. They love the series. It is a classic for a reason. Highly, highly recommend. And then I asked them for another, and that was Bad Beginning. So this is part of the Lemony Snicket's series of unfortunate events, which I have talked about on here quite a bit. Our family loves it. When I was in college, I started reading it as part of my children's lit class. I picked up the first one, and then I immediately wanted to read all of them and started reading. And my husband, who is not a reader, started reading along with me, and he finished the series before me because he enjoyed it so much. It's just funny, witty. Your kids' vocabulary will grow. And I have said that from the very beginning, but I will tell you that my daughter, who is 16, just did a practice PSAT, and she's like, I knew that answer because it was in series of unfortunate events, and it was a grammar thing. So it does teach you. But we loved The Bad Beginning. We did listen to book 2, and it was a dramatic reading with multicast, and my kids did not like it. It was not well done. So I'm going to put the one that we did like, which was a single narrator, and it was just phenomenal. Now, if you've only seen the movies, you got to go read the book because neither the Netflix nor the original Jim Carrey movie are like the books, okay? You got to read the books. They're very different. They're superb. Your kids' vocabulary will be phenomenal. They're very witty. They are dark and heavy and serious. So if you have sensitive readers, you will want to pre-read them. But The Bad Beginning was one of our favorites. And now for the creme de la creme, our ultimate favorite audiobook, which I have mentioned ad nauseum on this channel, is Little House on the Prairie, read by Cherry Jones. And I know the author because we've listened to it so many times. All the books. We've listened to the whole series at least 4 times. My oldest is 16. We didn't start listening to it till she was 8, so keep that in mind. We love Little House on the Prairie, read by Cherry Jones. She does a phenomenal job. I forget who the fiddler is, but he plays the fiddle in the background, so you get some music with pause music, which is phenomenal. And Cherry Jones just does an amazing job of telling Little House on the Prairie, which if you don't know what Little House on the Prairie is, it follows a family who start out in Wisconsin and eventually move west. They move a lot. Pa is never quite satisfied with where he is, and they continue to move for various reasons, but you get a slice of life in all their different places that they went. This is based on a real family. There are some people who are like, don't read this, it's bad, because there are a couple things. Pa wears blackface in one of them, and also Ma has some really nasty things to say about Indians. I'm going to tell you why you should read that anyway. 1, don't shy away from it and talk about it with your kids. Say, this is what people did. It's not right. 2, if you look into the actual history of Caroline, who is Ma in the stories, where in real life, where she grew up, there was a massive massacre from an Indian tribe near her, which is why she has so much fear and hatred of the Indians. And that comes across in the stories. And I personally think it's a talking point with my kids. Like, there are some people who said these things, but it came from a point of fear often. And that's where Ma is coming from. And it gives such a good talking point. And so we talk about the different things that are said, and we discuss, why is that wrong? Why would she maybe say that? Why would somebody have that? And because we've gone through the series many times, it is a talking point. We read a lot of books from Native American perspectives as well. It's something that I love and am passionate about making sure my kids read. But at the same time, I don't want to, there's so much in Little House on the Prairie that you can learn from so many different points of view, that to say, I'm not going to read it because it has this one instance or multiple instances, you're missing the point. Make it a talking point. Talk to your kids about it. Tell them why that's wrong. I have literally paused the audiobook and been like, why is that a problem? Or what was Paul doing? Because my kids didn't even understand the blackface part. So, discuss it with your kids. But the Cherry Jones version is phenomenal. My husband, who went on record saying he hated Little House on the Prairie, wasn't going to read it because his little sister told him they're terrible books when he was a kid. And so he was like, why are you reading that? That is trash. And I was like, oh, no. And so on a long road trip, we listened to The Long Winter, and he became hooked. I think he's listened to all of them now with us because it's usually our road trip series, and he absolutely loves it. He recommends it to all kinds of people, and he loved the narrator so much that when we were watching Ocean's 13, I want to say, we were watching, it's got to be Ocean's 13, he noticed it's the one where Linus's mother is in it, Matt Damon's mom in the movie, and he was like, I know that voice. That's the Little House on the Prairie lady. Sure enough, it was her, because he recognized the narrator after all those times. So Little House on the Prairie, the whole series, I highly recommend. I do recommend the first 5 or so books. Once she's married, we did it the first time, but we don't listen to those ones anymore. I make my kids wait until they are old enough to read it on their own, and then they can read it if they want. But I don't feel like some of those concepts, especially when she's married, the happy golden years are fine, but first 4 years gets into some heavy topics, and so I feel like that's something they may be a little older for. But otherwise, we love Little House on the Prairie. And I have 3 bonus audio things for family, and they are not books, they are audio dramas. So we have 3 particular audio dramas that we as a Christian family absolutely love. And first is Patch the Pirate from Majesty Music. Patch the Pirate, we like the old ones, we don't like the new ones. We're particular, okay? But Patch the Pirate has some phenomenal audio dramas. They are about an hour long, and they follow Patch, who is a pirate, because Ron Hamilton, who started this, he had cancer in his eye. He lost his eye. He started wearing a patch, and the kids at church called him a pirate. He came up with this idea. And so he and his family do the voices of the crew on Patch's ship, and they go on various adventures that tell Bible stories and character development. Our favorite is Mr. Slippy River and Kingdom Chronicles. They are phenomenal stories. Mr. Slippy River, I think, does an amazing job of sharing the gospel. Kingdom Chronicles also does a wonderful job of it. There are several others that we love. Some we like more than others, and some mama says you can listen when I'm not in the room because I can't handle the voices that they do. But Patch the Pirate is phenomenal. We absolutely love it. Another one is Jonathan Park. My kids have listened to Jonathan Park. We picked it up free at the library. They were giving it away, and now my kids are hooked, and they're really hard to find. But Jonathan Park is a audio drama. It's multiple seasons, and it follows a family whose father, Jonathan Park's father, was a scientist who became a Christian because the science pointed him towards Christ, towards the Bible and the truth of creation. And so you have a lot of creation evidence throughout all of the different stories, and a lot of high adventures. Although my kids have listened to more series than I have, because I put in my earbuds and listen to my own story. I can only handle so much Jonathan Park personally, but my husband listens to him and loves him. But my kids have pointed out that one of the characters has had hypothermia a ridiculous amount of times. But keeping that in mind, they really love Jonathan Park. And then last but not least, we have another radio audio drama that we stumbled upon called Brinkman Adventures, and my kids have really loved it. We have not listened to all the seasons because, again, it is harder to find cheaply, but my kids really love it, and it follows a missionary family. They are home-based here in America, but they go on different mission trips and help support other missionaries throughout and do various things, and they have just different adventures. What I like about Brinkman Adventures versus Jonathan Park is that you follow the family, but there are like spin-offs. So like you will follow the family, but then the missionary will tell you, the missionary they're with will give you a story. So like the one that we own, they talk to a missionary who used to be in China and he's now in America. They're returning something to him. He tells a story about how a woman, he gave somebody a t-shirt Bible that he created while he was there because of the legal ramifications. There's a lot of heavy topics in the Bring Fin Adventure, so keep that in mind, but we love them. And so those are our favorite audiobooks when we're going on a car ride, when we're going to be in the car lot, like we're getting ready to start tomorrow with choir and drama an hour away. I look for great audiobooks and audio dramas for my kids to listen to on our drives, and it redeems our time in the car by so much. And sometimes we do music, don't get me wrong, but we love a good audiobook. So these are our favorites. Let me know your favorite family audiobook and drop it below, and have a blessed day. Thanks for watching.